So the money, I think we've got a chart perhaps, the money gets moved around. You just referenced a number of these groups, Arabella Advisors, the tithe groups. These are left-wing dark money groups. So you've got this incredible, I mean, just look at the number of different entities on this one chart, all of this money moving through all of these different groups, many of them, again, non-disclosed donors, right? So we don't know exactly where the donors ultimately come from. Oftentimes the entity that gets the money doesn't have to report where they get the money. So it's washed through multiple times. And what you're saying is your research has found multiple different left-wing groups that are funding these protests on the ground in Minnesota. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And the foreign money is probably the most concerning, whether it's from Neville Roy Singham or the Swiss billionaire Hans Yorkve.
Okay, talk about that. Talk about the foreign money, because you've mentioned Singham now a couple of times. There was a New York Post article not long ago talking about Neville Singham, who's based, I think, in China. Tell us what your research has uncovered about this foreign money making its way to American protests that often harm our law enforcement officers.
Sure. So Neville Roy Singham, he's an American citizen. He's an avowed Marxist, and he made nearly $1 billion roughly a decade ago selling his tech company. One of the funds that purchased the tech company had Chinese sovereign wealth money in it. And once he sold that company, again, got close to $1 billion, he now uses that money to fund a variety of protest, riot, anti-Semitic protests, the pro-Hamas things in New York. He funded the LA riots earlier this year. And so he lives in China, is a pro-CCP guy, and he's not done. He's also got very close ties to the communists in Cuba. He finances trips for American groups to go down to Cuba to receive Marxist revolutionary training. They come back here, and then they operate on the ground. Famously, one of the groups in Salt Lake City, the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City, they went down to Cuba and got one of these trips. They're also very anti-ICE and working on these anti-ICE demonstrations.
So let me just make sure I understand. You're telling me that protest, quote unquote, protest activity we've seen in Los Angeles, we've seen in Minnesota, we've seen in other places that often turns violent, that some of this, maybe much of it, is funded by overseas money, including by this individual who has ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Have I got that right?
Yeah, that's right. You can see on the on a lot of the placards, when you see all these placards roll out, Party for Socialism and Liberation, other groups like that, the Democratic Socialists of America. These are not organic, spontaneous. They got thousands and thousands of signs that get pointed out. Those are all within the Singham network.
Let me just finish with this. You mentioned another major source of foreign money. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Hans Yorkve, he's a Swiss billionaire. The New York Times reported this. He's one of the largest funders of the Arabella network of funds. He pledged to give $200 million to electing people in the United States. Many people have wondered how is a foreigner allowed to fund political operations. Thus far has escaped, hey, there's been some investigations, but not enough.
This is exactly the kind of thing that Alexander Hamilton all those years ago warned about when he warned about the danger of foreign influence and foreign adversaries in our elections, and we're seeing it play out in real time.